All right, we are here. Hey, y'all. It's 12 o'clock on the spot, and now it is tea time. Let me see who's here. Drop an emoji. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you're from. I'm so happy you made it. We're going to give people a little time to come to the tea room. Let me turn down my music. Let's see. Let me hear from you. I don't see any chats yet. You guys here? All right. We'll take just another minute. We'll go ahead and get started. Somebody drop me a message so I just make sure that I'm getting your chats. I'm so excited. We have a great show in store for you. All right. So as you know, our topic for today is rejection to redirection, creating your own lane. I have the fabulous Tammy Mac who's going to be joining us today. She has a lot to say, a lot of wisdom, a lot of nuggets. You're going to want to hear that. But first, as I always do, I want to hear from you guys. What does rejection to redirection mean to you? So go ahead and put it in the comments. I see somebody's here. William's here from Houston. Uh-oh. H-Town. Tammy's from Houston. We got some Houston love. So I think it's a little delayed. So before I go further, I'm just going to give it another 30 seconds to let some more folks find us. Okay. So again, rejection to redirection, creating your own lane. What does that even mean? I started thinking about it and a couple of things came to mind. First, a delay is not a denial. Now, if you're anything like me, you have wanted things a certain way by a certain time. And when it didn't happen, you were messed up. That's kind of been my whole little deal. And I had to realize two things. One, if it didn't happen the way I thought, I was going to be okay, that I was going to survive. And secondly, which is most common, it actually worked out better than I thought. There were people and circumstances that had to align behind the scenes that I wasn't aware of that had to come together. So that's the first thing, that if we can understand that delay is not a denial, just might be coming in a different package in a different way. So, and I just want to double check that the comments are coming in. Yes, Houston, we got you. And everyone else is here. All right, so we're going to keep flowing with the broadcast. The second note that I want to talk about, I'm going to ask Tammy about this when I bring her on, is doubt your doubts. And I had to really sit with that because like anything, when you're rejected and you don't get something, whether it's a relationship or a job you wanted, and things don't work out, it can make you start to question yourself, question your self-esteem, question, should I be on this path? Should I be doing that? And I realized that for me to fortify myself, because that's what this whole show is about fortifying your mind so that your talk path can be aligned with your walk path so that you are moving in the direction that you want with your life. I had to really start looking at, let me doubt my doubt, which basically means that you don't let doubt take up too much real estate in your mind. It's okay to look at it, but it doesn't have to define you, and it certainly doesn't have to be all consuming. So that's the second point. I have two more points I'm going to get through quickly, and then I'm going to bring our special guest on. This one is really important. You guys let me know what you think about this. Let's see. Hey, Christy's here. This next point, which is really important when we're talking about rejection and redirecting our life, is how we frame up failure, how we define it for ourselves. And it can be something horrible that makes us feel horrible, or what I choose to do and I try to do, and I don't always make it, but this is what I aspire to do, is I try to look at it as failure is forever acquiring important lessons. So basically, it's from the premise that life is for you, okay? That we're not only here to survive, we're also here to thrive. So if you have that as your framework, then you understand that when things don't work out, a failure is actually adding to you. It's how a pearl, it gets formed. It's how diamonds shine. And it's really taking those irritants in our lives, because a pearl has to have an irritant to really, get under it to make it be the beauty that it becomes. So it's taking those people that are irritants, that financial situation, that health challenge, and really using it as a way to fortify ourselves. And one way is to look at it as I'm acquiring, I'm adding to me. So I can only get better, and I'm going higher after this. Now, I'm saying this out loud to y'all. It's easier said than done, so feel me on that. But again, we're just dialoguing, having a conversation about expanding our minds so that we can expand our lives. So I appreciate y'all going on the ride with me. And then the last little comment that I want to make about this is refusing to let rejection define you. And that's a big one for me, because so often we're used to outside circumstances, people, situations, opportunities defining who we are. And when they don't go exactly how we thought, or I thought, maybe I'm alone in this, I don't know, y'all let me know. When they don't go exactly how I thought, then it can start to make you question yourself. So it's really important when we are looking at this concept of rejection and doubt, people hitting me up, that we refuse to let it define who we are, like oil and water. Let it rub off. It's not who you are. Experiences come and go, but you're still here, which means that we have dominion over the things that happen to us. So as I was journaling, in my little journal, as I do for my MediTEAtions, that came to me. And then I think it's fundamentally understanding. And let's see, let me see if y'all are. Hi, Linda. Linda's here. Who else is who else grapples with that? Let me know. Drop me an emoji and let me know if sometimes you have to really remind yourself, reset, that you aren't, whatever happened, whatever circumstance didn't go your way, you're not that. Ultimately, you are the gift. You are the gift, and your presence is the present. And when we become present in the moment, then we can actually deliver our gifts and open ourselves up to new possibilities that may not have been available. So with that said, talking about gifts, I have a very special gift in store for all of us. And that is none other than the powerhouse, multi-talented actress, writer, TV and radio host that we all know and love, Miss Tammy Mac. Now, we all fell in love with Tammy at different points. Her voice has been a staple in Los Angeles on KJLH. She also gives her special sauce to the Tammy Mac late night show on Fox, which is amazing. So you guys definitely have to check that out if you haven't. I've had the privilege and honor of working with Tammy personally, and she's getting recognized, as she should. Tammy is one of those bright lights that doesn't get the shine that she deserves yet, but it's coming because you can't dim her light too long. She's a 3-time NAACP winner for her one-woman show, Bag Lady. And there's a quote that she said when she accepted her speech, which I thought was really powerful. Well, this is a quote from her speech, rather. And she said, "It's time to step into the light and use every bit of power I have inside." And I thought that was so poignant and so appropriate for where we are right now. So Tammy, we see your power, we see your light, and we are looking forward to having you join us. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is Miss Tammy Mac.
It's tea time.
Hey,
It's tea time, baby.
2 o'clock.
It's tea time.
It's 2 o'clock. Yes, it is. So what are you drinking?
I am drinking peach tea.
Oh, peach tree. Peach. I'm thinking of Atlanta. Peach tree. That's nice.
Peach tea.
To go with your peach pie. I have to try that.
Yeah.
Now I have a chamomile peppermint blend that if y'all saw my little pre-show with the sunflowers, I was feeling very bright with you today, Tammy. So, Tammy, what would you say is the biggest realization that you've had right now during this grand pause that we're going through called the pandemic?
Let me just be real. Let me just be honest. Don't get married. Go into a pandemic.
That's what we love about you, Tammy, because you keep it real. Oh, it's hard. Trust me.
Oh, Jesus. When I tell you, do you know, Jackson told me, Caryn, he was like, "Don't talk to me face to face. Turn your back when you talk to me because your driplets will get on me if you talk to me in my face like that." And I thought,
stop.
I cook your food every day. Do you know how many driplets
It dropped.
We're already in you.
Right.
If I have coronavirus, trust and believe, brother, you got it too.
Right, exactly. We this together through sickness and health. No, I feel you. It's safe to say that our husbands have all the droplets. So
Yeah.
we'll keep this 13 for the folks. But let's see, we got some comments coming in. I know everybody's, Linda said, hey, Tammy.
Hey, Linda.
We're all happy to have you here. And thank you, Abdul. Abdul's loving the show. So now, I don't know if you guys know this, and I'm going to tell Tammy this. I actually was inspired to do this particular MediTEAtions from a post that Tammy put up on her page dealing with the rejection. And, yes, and she had a lot to say and a perspective that I hadn't considered. So let me go ahead and tee this up and share this with the good folks. You guys, hold on one second and check this out.
First of all, there are only 2 reasons you get rejected. Only 2. And anything outside of those 2 reasons, revert back to the 2 reasons. Number 1 is because the person doesn't have the power to say yes. So they tell you no. Number 2 reason is because the person doesn't want to take a risk on you. And that's not a bad thing. You know, you have to be careful and you have to weigh your options and your risk. Let's say I was shopping a talk show around and I went to BET and BET said no. Well, the people who told me no didn't have the power to say yes. Or the people who told me no was like, nah, nobody really knows Tammy Mac. We don't want to take a risk on her. And it's not good or bad. It just is what it is. Think about it. Who are you willing to take a risk on? And what do you have the power to say yes to? First of all, there are only 2 reasons you get rejected. Only 2. And
yeah, I love that. I could hear it again and again because I feel like that was really powerful. So, Tammy, what inspired that? I love that question that you said is, what do you have the power to say yes to? I mean, that's such an empowering statement. You know what I mean? So where did that come from?
Before I say that, I want to make clear a part of my NAAC speech that I quoted came from an India Irie song. So I want to give credit where credit is due. That sister is deep.
Okay.
And I interviewed her on several occasions, and she is just amazing. So I love her work and her inspiration. But I'll tell you exactly where that came from. I was literally, I mean, the story is true. I was literally shopping a talk show around for about 2 years. And everyone kept giving me reasons why it wouldn't work or what wouldn't work about it. So they'd be like, oh, it looks good, but this part, element of P, this part, element of P, you know. And it brought me back to when I first moved to LA to become an actress, Caryn.
Yes.
I wasn't SAG. And so every time I went into an agency, they'd be like, are you SAG? No? Oh, well then not until you're SAG. Or once I became SAG, I go into an agency and they'd be like, you need new headshots. Can you get new headshots? And so it was, I felt like I always compare it to the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz, you go and you get the broom that the Wiz sends you to go get because he thinks you can't get it. Right. The only reason the wizard sends you to get the broom is because he knows you'll die.
Yes. Yes.
And he's trying to get rid of you, get him off of his plate because he knows what you're asking for, he cannot do. And so I started to picture Hollywood like the Wizard of Oz. And I started thinking to myself, a lot of people who are telling me no because there are things that they don't have the authority to say yes to.
There it is.
A lot of people, and then I also thought a lot of people are sending me to get something else because they're hoping I can't provide or get whatever that something else is. They're sending me to the wolves to die so that I never come back to them again.
Right. Wow. So that's a powerful, powerful analogy. So what do you do with that? What do you make with that? So is that what inspired the post of people not having the power to say yes?
What inspired the post was me having my own talk show now.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, and I mean, to be honest, I don't know how long it's going to last. You know, we live in a world, Caryn, where our projects last 1 season, 2 seasons.
Yes.
If we're lucky, 10, you know? So
Right.
you can only put your best foot forward and do what you can do. And everything else is kind of out of your control. So,
Mhm.
but what made me do the post is people telling me congratulations, or I love your show, or how'd you get it, or
Mhm.
what's some advice. And I thought, I'm not a big advice person, but here's something that I learned. And I learned that everyone who told me what was wrong about my talk show, it wasn't that they didn't like it. It wasn't that they didn't like me, because we tend to take a lot of things personal,
Yes.
and things aren't
Absolutely.
personal.
Mhm.
And we have to remove that from the situation, even if it's our friends sometimes. Our friends, like if you wanted a job at KJLH, Caryn, as much as I love you, I don't have the authority to tell you yes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the question becomes, do you take a risk on that friend? Because
Mhm.
if that's your friend, you know your friend really well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know whether your friend gonna be late, whether your friend gonna cause drama on the job,
Right.
whether your
Right.
friend gonna be effective in that position. And so a piece of you is like, ugh, I want to say yes, but do I want to take a risk on my friend?
Right.
You know,
So I think understanding those two things, that A, they don't have the power, and we don't give them the power. So again, that's doubting the doubt, whether the doubt comes from inside your own mind, the doubt comes from someone else. It's like putting it in its right context and place, like you would a 2-year-old. You wouldn't let a 2-year-old run this country, right? You put them to the side. And then
say so.
So we have to do that with our doubts and our thoughts and things that tell us that we can't have something. And also use discretion, like you were saying, in terms of, do I want to take that risk? But
and then in the end, the question you asked, I said the question was, what are you willing to take a risk on, and what are you willing to say yes to? And I was really talking to each individual personally, because some of us won't even take risk on our own selves. Some of us won't even say yes to our own selves, but we expect everybody else to want to take a risk on us and say yes to us. But how much money have you put inside of yourself? How much money have you lost on your dream? How much time have you spent on your dream? How many favors have you fought for on behalf of your dream? You have to look internally at yourself and see just how much of a risk you've taken on yourself before you go asking people who don't even know you to take a risk on you.
T dropped. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, that is so true. We can't expect from other people what we aren't first willing to give to ourselves. Like, I feel like the outside world can be a mirror to what's happening internally. And what I love about you, Tammy, and what you took, you turned poison into medicine, meaning you took these relationships that you have, or had, I should say, and created gold out of it by looking at yourself with Bag Lady. Bag Lady is basically a journey of self-reflection and, well, hold on, all the common denominators in these relationships is me. I can't keep looking outside. And I feel like it's the same thing with our career and things that we want to have happen in life.
Yeah. And let me tell you, Bag Lady is the same. When I first started Bag Lady, I went to several corporations for sponsorships, and all of them said no. Literally, all of them, every single one of them. They didn't care that I was on the radio, because a lot of people think me being on the radio should garner me more favor. Let me just be honest with you, it has not. For whatever reason, it has not. I have not been garnered favor because of my status at KJLH. You would think, but as I'm reminded often, I'm no Breakfast Club and I'm no Wendy Williams.
Really?
Yes.
So it's funny. And I have a lot of, actors, obviously you do too. We know a lot of the same people. Like my best girlfriends are actresses, producer, writers. We hear that all the time, that it's the too much. You're too much this, too much that, too little this. So what's your mental fortitude? Like, how do you deal with that, Tammy? What do you say to yourself to overcome the people that tell you that you aren't fill in the blank?
I'm not Wendy Williams. They're right. I say you're right. You're right. I'm not Wendy Williams, and I'm not the Breakfast Club. I'm Tammy
Mhm.
Mac, and I bring my own stank to the party. So some people are ready for it. Some people are not ready for it. But like I was saying with Bag Lady, I went to about 5 corporations. They all said no. And so I had to put in my own money, and I did a Kickstarter to raise funds for the show. Well,
Mhm.
after I did the show, all of those corporations came back to me and said, yes, we want to give you some money to do your show, which is how I ended up doing the show again. And then ultimately one of those corporations said, we want to tour with you. So I think there's something to be said about taking a risk on yourself. And
Mhm.
that has happened to me on several occasions. It's been very repetitive, even with the talk show. After everybody
Mhm.
said no, Jackson said to me, why do you keep knocking on doors that you know are going to say no when you can do this yourself? Put your money together and we'll produce our own talk show
Yes.
and find a way
Yes.
to maybe buy some time on a television station, and you can show people what you have, and you can, you know, build your audience. And so that's what we were in the process of doing before Fox called me. We were in the process of building and doing and shooting our own talk show. And then Fox called. So it's
Right.
always like, it's never when you want it, like you said. It's never how you want it, like you
Mhm.
said. And God's way is his way, not yours.
Yeah, I love that, Tammy. And you're reminding me, because I believe in energy. I think, you know, everything is energy, whether we want to understand that or not. We don't have to understand gravity. It works. And the energy that you are putting into yourself, or call it risk, investment, whatever term you want to use, it creates a vortex around you. Because I too have found that when I am pouring into myself, when I am eating right, feeding my creative ideas, then opportunities come. And it goes back to what I'm thinking. The whole point of this is that we have to start with self. Like, that's just what it is. That is the key to opening everything. I think about Tyler Perry. I appreciate him saying, while y'all are busy being at this table, I'm building my own. And that's essentially what you're saying. And I'm saying in different words. It's about building your own house and furniture, putting your furniture in it, and the people who come, and I had to put this up on the thing, bring your own stank, Tammy Mac, people who want to show up, and those who don't won't. You know what I mean? So, Tammy, let me ask you about the idea of failure. And as I talked about in the opening, reframing it as constantly building and growing, because we've all experienced heartache, we've all experienced failure. What are some of the things that you do to move yourself when you've had a setback?
Well, for me, I think what helps me with failure is that I'm not easily embarrassed.
That's one of the things we love about you, Tammy. You're not, which makes you so likable and personable.
I'm just not. I know how to laugh at myself, make fun of myself. I mean, I won't be made a fool of, but
Right.
I am not easily embarrassed. So a mistake to me or failure to me is kind of laughable, if that makes sense.
It does. It actually does. It does.
I don't even know. I'm trying to think of a time I failed and was like, oh my God, you know, like I don't get that when I fail. Am I unhappy? Of course I am. Nobody wants to fail. Don't get it twisted. I want to win in everything I do. But unfortunately, the wins come with losses. And I think if you know that, you're kind of good with that.
Right.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a time. I'm always disappointed when I don't get a role.
Yeah.
Always disappointed, but I'm used to it now. So I don't, what am I crying about?
Right. I think it goes back to the principle of refusing to let rejection define you. And the 2 points that you said, like, revert back to those two, that they don't have the power, authority to, or they don't want to take the risk, which is not a reflection on you. It's a reflection on them. And it's hard. I mean, I'm an actress right along here with you. I think I have a PhD in rejection. I specialize in that. We get no, and all of us, you guys go ahead and leave a comment.
But I love that you and your husband have taken on the task of creating your own projects. You know what I mean? I mean, to have a wonderful husband who's a director and a writer, and then you, the actress, like that's power couple to no end. I just love the teamwork that you guys have and how you utilize each other.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love that.
Thank you so much for saying that, because it's born out of what you said, what you did. You and your husband decided to move forward with the things that you want. That's what my husband and I are doing. We, obviously we have Craig Ross Jr.'s Monogamy. We have other projects that I'm writing and producing that we're in the process of developing. So it's really about, I think, taking agency over your life, finding your skill set, your gifts, and recognizing that you are the gift. And then how can you mine that? Like, how can you develop that more? And less attention and focus on what so-and-so is doing. Because like, Wendy Williams, so-and-so, they ain't Tammy Mac. You know what I'm saying? They're never going to be that. So, and I'm Caryn Ward Ross, and it's everyone embracing their own uniqueness and really kind of just capitalizing on that, exploiting that to the fullest in a positive way. I'm using that term. So, I feel really inspired by you, Tammy. Where do you see yourself going? Like, what's next for you? Because you are such, and I've used this term before, but you are a Renaissance woman. You're a woman who does things well. Most people do something really well, and then the other thing is kind of well. You are a dynamic actress. I think it also comes from, because you can't get embarrassed, so there's this vulnerability or rawness, which is perfect, being a performer. You're obviously an exceptional host and radio personality. So what's next for you, and how do you keep yourself primed and ready to take on the next challenge?
I have to be honest, Caryn. I have been trying to train myself to not think about what's next, because I have a very negative internal position. And I'm working with that. Like, I'm working on myself with that. I always think negatively about my future. So I always think things like, oh, what's going to happen if I'm not on the radio next month? Oh, what's going to happen if I don't get this? Oh, what's going to happen? And so I have to stop myself from thinking about my future. And the older I've gotten, I've been trying to train myself to enjoy the things that are happening right now.
I love that, Tammy. And Linda Madison says she loves it too. That's so powerful. I just want to screenshot that, because I think this grand pause is forcing us all of us to be present in the moment. And like I said in the intro, that your presence is the present, and being present in the moment will allow you to deliver your gifts. Because you're not alone in that, Tammy. I too, start to have negative Nancy running in my brain about things can go wrong. My mother, who obviously is a huge influence, always has me look at what's the best case scenario. And there was a question that I was asking myself, and I'm going to put this to the audience. You guys chime in. I started doing this for a while, and I stopped. And you reminded me, Tammy, that I need to do it. I started asking myself for everything. What's the best thing that could happen? Like, no matter what it is, if I got to make dinner tonight, if I have to, get a pitch together, well, no matter what it is, just asking the question, what's the best thing that could happen? And I was doing that for like a couple of weeks. And what I found in doing that is that things were actually working out really well. Like, the best that could happen was actually happening because I asked the question and made a space for it. You know what I mean? Now, I say all that to say that I feel you on the negative stuff. I have to do little tricks, little hacks for myself, because I'll go down a path that I don't want to, that doesn't fortify me. But I think it starts with at least recognizing that you do that. And like you said, staying present in the moment. Do you have any particular practices that you do? Do you stretch? Do you journal? Do you write? Like, what's the special Tammy sauce?
I'm so inconsistent. I picked up my journal 2 days ago and realized the last time I picked it up was May last year.
Oh my God.
I was like, what goes on in May that I feel the need to pick up my journal?
Right. I feel you on that.
I'm not the best person to talk about consistency and rituals and things of that nature.
That's okay. That's okay. So, a lot of us aren't. And I'll have a week where I'm doing good and I'm not. So I feel you. Go ahead.
Right. So there's nothing consistently that I do other than which may not be a good thing for most people.
Mm.
I find that what takes me out of my negative modes is to actually work.
Mm. Okay.
And that's because when I get into my negative mode, it falls into they'll never change me because I'm so old. They'll never do this because I haven't done it long enough. They'll never, anytime I become negative, it's never about me and my abilities. It always seems to be about bringing other people in and having them decide my fate. So I feel like when I start working, I feel productive, and I feel like I'm doing something that will knock out whatever they say. So kind of like them, and that could be the competitive part in me that says I'm not going to allow them or they to say anything about me.
I love that.
That will fall onto my future in a negative way, or that will not allow my future to happen in the way that I see it.
Right. Well, so, I don't think there's anything wrong about that. I'm all for whatever works. If it doesn't cause harm or disrespect to anyone and it's going to fortify you, it's about being on your side. So what I'm hearing you say, what I'm taking from that is being in action and having a sense of control. You know, although none of us really have control, but instead of focusing on blaming other people, it's about what can I do? What can I handle? What can I create? What can I make poison into medicine out of this particular situation? So I love that about you. I'm gonna hop on over here and see if anybody has any specific questions. If you guys want to ask Tammy anything, then go ahead and drop it in the comment. As you can see, Tammy is a very down-to-earth, approachable person who is just living her best life, the best that she can, like we all are.
I always feel odd, like doing shows like this, because I always feel like I'm not successful enough to give other people advice.
I love that. Tammy, I'm so glad you brought that up. It's so funny because
who am I to tell somebody else what to do?
You are Tammy Mac, but you know what? A lot of people go through that. I think I'm so glad you brought that up. And I like having these kind of honest, real conversations. It's the imposter syndrome. That's what's called. Yeah. We all feel like who am I to be talking about? Who are you not to be? You know what I'm saying? Who are you not to be? I go through that too. I'm like, why am I doing this meditation? Why not? Because I want to. And like you said, it's my stank, and those who like it will come on. Thank you y'all who are there. And those who don't will move on by. But the truth of the matter is that we all have a note in this grand symphony that is called life that we play. And so your message, you're touching people in ways that you don't even know. So you said something, Tammy, that I'm gonna remind you of in Bag Lady, when the idea was coming to you and you had received a message about it's bigger than you. And I think that's what it boils down to, that your gift and your light and your wisdom, and even mine and all of us on here, is bigger than us. It's not about little me or little you. It's about you being a vehicle and you being open and available. Basically, you're a distribution site of inspiration. And that's how I see myself.
I love that. Distribution site of inspiration.
Thank you. Put that in there.
Put that up there.
Right. I'm trying to see some comments. I got to add that up in there. We got
over here taking notes. I'm over here taking notes forever. Right. Important lessons. You be dropping some pearls have an irritant. I didn't even know that about pearls.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, this girl done researched the pearls.
Now, don't tell me if I done spelled this right, because I'm a terrible speller. So no, I did distribution. Oh, I did.
Site of inspiration. Yes, that's it. Go ahead, Oprah.
Oprah. No, I'm Caryn Ward Ross. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing, Tammy. I love what you bring out, and part of it is because you are so authentic and real, and that's just you. You give people a space to do that. And that's one of the biggest gifts that you can give people. So for anybody on the live who's wondering, well, who am I to do this? The real question is, who are you not to do it? Because, and I even said this to you on the pre-show, Tammy, I was talking about your impact on the world. And you said, you laughed at me and said something about the world, Caryn. Well, that's a lot. But here's the thing, we think of the world like the whole planet. It don't have to be the whole planet. It's who's ever in your world, who's ever moving in that space that's affected by your energy, by your light, by your gifts, by your presence. That is the present. So I think it's really about taking stock of that. And that's what I'm getting in this conversation with you, Tammy. Taking stock of what we really bring to the table and not letting it be defined by something outside of yourself.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's perfect. It made me feel better. It was a meditation to me.
Right. We get some meditation up in here.
It was a meditation for real. This, as a matter of fact, this cup, it's the starving actor cup. The starving actor.
I see it.
My girlfriend, Brandy Burks, had a
I know Brandy.
called the starving actor.
I remember that in Los Angeles, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she got that inspiration because she's also a producer and writer. And she said a lot of her actors were literal. She thought it was a figure of speech, starving actor.
No.
And she found out a lot of her actors were literally starving actors. She was like, let me open a restaurant and, feed them.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. I didn't know that was a story behind it. I remember seeing her post about it, and she had books and stuff in there. But yeah, it's which that goes back for me to the words that we use. I understand the sentiment because we've all struggled and had some lean days, right? And we do, being in the field that we're in. But it also brings to mind for me just the power of words and how we define ourselves. Yeah. And I am really cautious and conscious of the language that I'm using, because I really do think that creates the world that we live in. So that's part of dealing with rejection to redirection. Do you feel like the things that you didn't have happen that you wanted, that it was for a higher purpose and that something better actually came out because of it?
Yeah, I do, Caryn. And it's always a revelation to me. I'll be like, dang, God, you'll be sneaking your works in, don't you?
Yeah.
But for instance, when I was doing my radio show, I didn't feel like I was having fun when I first started doing my radio show at KJLH. And I come from, I've been doing radio since I was 15 years old. Mm-hmm. So in Birmingham was probably one of my best radio, my best time in my radio career, when I was in Birmingham, Alabama, doing the morning show with Ricky Smiley. And I just had so much fun, and I had so many ideas, and I was always out in the community. But when I got to LA, I was so focused on acting that radio became like this side gig that I could care less about, that drained me and made me miserable. And I was trying to figure out why, because when I got here, I prayed for a radio job that would sustain my acting career. God was like, bam, here you go.
Right.
But it wasn't, there was something about it that wasn't giving me what I needed like it used to my entire life. So I went to the drawing board to try to figure out what that was. And I realized what it was that I wasn't incorporating my acting into radio like I had done all of my career in radio. I had incorporated.
Tell me more about that. So what does that mean? Tell me more about that.
When I first got into radio, at the radio station in Houston, KTSU.
Okay.
I was 15 years old, and they had me on the phones because I was 15 years old. And I told my dad I wanted to quit because I didn't want to be on the phone. I said, I thought I was going to be on the radio. The lady made me read, told me I could be on the radio, but all I've been doing is answering the phones. So I don't want to go on Saturdays anymore. And my dad said, look, and this has probably been the secret of why I could care less about failure my entire life without consciously realizing it.
Okay. We're listening.
My dad said to me, you're an actress, right? I said, yeah, but they won't put me on the radio. So I don't want to be on the radio. He said, so then what you do is when you answer the phone lines and people call, you do different voices on the phone and you focus on your acting. So you start acting, and then you build a relationship with the people on the phones, and then the people on the phones will start knowing you, and you can tell them you're an actress, and you can tell them you're on the radio, and you can tell them you're waiting for your shot or whatever, and you begin to develop these connections with your callers, the people calling on the request line. He was like, and who knows, maybe the DJ will actually play a song that they want, and they'll thank you. And my dad's a con artist. For real, like literally. Like, I don't mean that in a figurative way. He's literally a con artist.
It's okay.
And
got you here.
And so I thought to myself, he lying. But then I was 15. So I was like, but what if he right? So, so I started performing on the request line for callers.
Stop it. Stop. So you did do it. Wow.
And it made me want to come in indefinitely. Like I no longer felt like I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. So eventually I got my shot on the radio, and he was absolutely right. All of those people that I was talking to on the request line became fans. And they were happy that I was finally on the radio, and I had developed this relationship with them. When I get interns, the last thing they want to do is answer the phones. And I try to tell them that the phones are the most important thing in radio. Like, it's not about you being on the air. It's about the other people.
Yes.
So when you say, does God put me in a position to where things are for other people and not necessarily for me? That's something that I started to learn along the way. So we fast forward to Birmingham even. I enjoy Birmingham because I use that platform to do plays in the school district. And so I would go and do Black History plays, Women's History Month plays. And then I started a poetry set where I could continue to do poetry. So it balanced out my happiness. So when I was trying to figure it out and put it all together, why I was so miserable in LA and why radio wasn't fulfilling me anymore and how I wasn't getting these acting jobs. And I was paying all of this money, Caryn.
Right. Oh, I know.
To go to acting class. To go to acting classes and to go to casting director workshops that cost $200 for casting directors to watch me perform and then say nothing. And so I decided, I know what I could do. I could do a mixer where Black actors can have a chance to perform in front of these managers and agents and directors and producers. And I really thought for myself, like originally I was like, I'm gonna do it for me because I need to feel like I'm doing both so that I could be happy again and feel like Birmingham. And so I started doing it so that I could make connections. It was my answering the request line, if you will. It was like, I'm going to make these connections with these agents and these managers, and I'm going to give other people an opportunity. That'll be a byproduct of what I'm trying to do for myself.
I love that.
As I continued to do the mixers, I realized that the mixers weren't for me at all. I never got a gig from the mixer, Caryn.
Right, but you know what's powerful about what you said, Tammy, and I've seen this theme now because part of my MediTEAtions is having these conversations to expand my own mind, hopefully expand the audience's mind, but really to dissect and get to the DNA of what makes happiness and fulfillment personally, not what the world or Instagram says success or happiness, but true fulfillment for people that I admire and respect. And what I'm understanding from you and from my guest last week, Coleman Domingo, fabulous performer, writer, actor, producer also, is you both were in the space of giving. And there's this concept of starting where you are with what you have. And that's what you did with your father on the phone. And I think, especially in LA, and you know this, Tammy, I'm just gonna keep it real. I'm from there. It's this culture of me, and it's supposed to come like this, and nobody wants to not look cute and get their hands dirty. And the truth of the matter is that you ain't gonna always look cute, and you do have to get dirty, and you need to answer the phone because that's the Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. Some of y'all will understand that reference, others won't. But it's the willingness to get down and dirty and not be pretty, and that's really a quality that you have that I admire about you, that interestingly, when a person has that, it actually makes them even more beautiful, because you're taking off the veneer and the facade and you're doing the work that needs to be done. You know what I'm saying?
I never feel bad about starting from the bottom.
I love that.
I never feel bad about being the underdog. I've always said my entire career, I don't want to be Lucy. I want to be Ethel.
Yes.
With Lucy, too many expectations come, you know. With Ethel, you're not really expecting much from her, but damn, she was good. I like that Ethel.
I love that. And that goes back to what I was saying in my intro about, and I think you even put a post about being underrated and underestimated. And I feel like I am too, truthfully. Like, I like that because people don't see me coming. And what you see with me is not what you get. There is so much more. So go ahead and, sleep on me, because like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like to exceed the expectations. So I like that. I resonate with that. That to me represents you. Because
I didn't realize at all that the mixers were not for me. I thought they were for me. I have so many actors who say they got agents and jobs and movies and television shows through those mixers.
Wow.
So many upcoming actors who say, when are you going to bring the mixers back? Because all my friends talk about how they got jobs from these mixers. And so I didn't realize that it wasn't for me, but I can say 100% that those mixers were probably one of my proudest moments because of
that
people. And a lot of people try to recreate it, but I don't think it could necessarily be recreated because I didn't do it for money.
You brought your stank too. You brought your Tammy Mac,
and so
that can't be duplicated, right?
Yeah. And I think that's the same thing with Bag Lady. Bag Lady was supposed to be a showcase for me and my acting abilities. I didn't get a job from Bag Lady either. No TV series came from that. But what happened was I began to tour the nation, and I found that other women needed what I was sharing. So I realized that Bag Lady also was not for me, and that it was I was the distribution of inspiration and the distribution side of inspiration.
It should be sight spelled differently. I spelled it wrong. Nobody caught it. So we know what we mean. We know what we mean. I correct
you know what we mean. I was the distribution side of inspiration for women's self-esteem.
Right.
And I didn't realize that either. Like, so all of my intentions were very shallow and vain, but when God has his hand in it, he makes it much more deeper, and he takes it because he doesn't want to just do things for you. He wants to do things for all of his children. And so whenever you're doing something, it's never just for you. So as long as you're thinking it's just for you, the best will not happen.
Yeah, I that makes complete sense to me. I resonate with that. I am finding that the more that you give, and that's the theme that I'm finding, when you're just in the joy of creation, when you are actually, and it's okay if you don't start out that way. Like you said, we all have our vanity, and, I'm no stranger to that also. And we all learn. Right. And that's okay. But at some point, the consciousness shifts around what can I get to what can I give? And when you give, then space opens up, and you'll be working on something over here and get a call from Fox or whatever. But this is all really powerful, good stuff that feeds me. Tammy, you have fed me today on my sips of inspiration, and I think it's an important conversation, and it was sparked again by your post on rejection and getting real clear on what that is, because I feel like clarity provides a clearing for us to move forward. So if we're clear that it ain't about you, then you can hear and listen for the guidance and the next steps of what is for you.
Exactly.
Would you say you agree with that? Is that
100%? 100%. I remember when I was on the morning show in Birmingham, this story I will never forget, and it has shaped and molded my radio career. And it was a failure. You know what I'm saying? This was one of those times where I had failed, but I learned my lesson. And let me tell you, so we were making some jokes about I don't know, the finest women in Birmingham. You know, who's the finest women? I was on the radio show with 2 men. So, you know, that's what men want to talk about.
Right.
Who the finest women in Birmingham? Like,
right.
Who comes up with these topics?
Right.
The finest woman in Birmingham. So they bring up this woman's name, and I remember her name clearly, but I won't say it. So they bring up this woman's name, but off air, we were talking about how she had shot her husband in the butt at the club.
Okay.
And we were kind of laughing about it, but if I'm not, I don't remember what the fate of her husband was, but we were talking about that. So when we went on air and they were saying how fine she was, I was like, I don't know. I mean, can she be fine and shoot her husband in the butt?
Right.
And what happened after that shaped and molded my radio career for the rest of my entire life. This woman,
do tell. Go ahead, I'm listening.
This woman came up to the radio station and she was upset. She was humiliated. She was crying profusely. She was angry. And she demanded a meeting with the general manager, the program director, and everyone who had anything to do with the radio station. And they, of course, called us inside of the meeting as well.
Right.
And this was a room full of men, and me and her were the only women in the room. And the men were giving all of these excuses. Well, we didn't really say your name. It could have been anybody. Well, it couldn't have been anybody. And we did say her name because her name was very unusual, which is why I remember it. And nobody else in the world has this woman's name. Right. So, like, it's one of those names.
Yeah, like you know it's
Carpet. Like your name is Carpet. No. Right, me. There's no carpets in the world. Right. I'm the only carpet. I'm the only Apple. I'm the only whatever the hell Elon Musk
name is. Right.
That's the only one of those. So they really weren't. She was getting angrier and angrier, and we were sitting across from each other. And she looked me in my face and she said, "Tammy, you don't know what it's like to be a mother and have to explain that to your child. It's okay if you're talking about Janet Jackson or Michael Jackson or whoever, because they're celebrities. They have millions upon millions of dollars and they could care less what you say or think about them." She said, "I live here. And my family heard that. And my children heard that. And my mother heard that. I was at work laughing and giggling at your show because I listen every morning. And my coworkers heard that." She said, "Do you know how that makes me feel? Something I did that I do not," she said, "something that I did that I regret, that I did years ago," because at that time she had done it about 10 years prior to.
Right.
I'm trying to move on with my life. I'm trying to raise my kids. I'm a different person than I was then. And to hear that on the radio and everybody know it's me and it has to be drudged up all over again. As a woman, Tammy, you should not have said that.
Wow.
And the only thing I could say, and they had told us before we went into the meeting to not apologize. And so the only thing that I could say was, I don't know how that feels. And I apologize. And from that day forth, I realized, because I'm the kind of person that I'm so humble, I don't even think people listen to me on the radio. So I may be humble to a fault. I just think maybe a couple of people are listening every now and again, and I don't realize the magnitude of what I say sometimes. And at that moment, I realized the magnitude of what my platform held. And so now when I'm on the radio to this day, I make sure that I put Black people in a positive light. I tell people there's thing is Black crime. I tell people that, Black people do support each other, because there's this mythical theory that Blacks don't support Blacks. That's a lie. I'm on camera. We both Black. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a lie. It's a myth. And the lie keeps getting perpetrated. And it's also a reason why I'm so into women and women progressing, because that woman looking me in my face and saying, she basically said, Tammy, woman to woman, you know this shit is wrong.
Damn, Tammy, that affected me. That, because the deeper subtext of that, Tammy, really is for all of us. We have a microphone. We have a listening. People who are impacted and our words fall on their ears like soil, and it makes a difference. And you don't have to be a celebrity to do that. You don't have to be on the radio. We actually all have our own microphone.
Yeah, because anything you say or do at this point can go viral, no matter who you are.
Yes.
And you could be destroying a person for absolutely, like that woman in the park in Central Park.
Right.
Right. She has been demolished. Do you hear me? She can't even go to the park. They have banned her from Central Park. She has been demolished.
Right. Well, she kind of, I feel you.
Because of something she said,
exactly.
I'm just saying, it can happen to anyone now because we all have platforms.
We all have platforms. The internet makes all of us connected. And the addendum to what you said, Tammy, is I'm really interested in the things that won't go viral, like inside these walls in our house and the conversations that we're having, the people closest to us, that we actually are having an impact on them. And so it's being aware of what we speak and what we say, and whether we're planting seeds of doubt or we're planting seeds of inspiration and possibility. Like talk, I really believe, like I said, your talk path dictates your walk path. So talk into someone's life things that are going to be affirmative and help them out. So yes, things can go viral on YouTube and Instagram or whatever, but I'm talking about the viruses that we spread, actually a pun intended, in our families, to the people that we love, to our friends, and then ultimately just bring it back home with Bag Lady and everything that we've been talking about, the things that we say to ourselves. Makiba's here. She says hello. Hi, hey Makiba, how are you? Christy Ferris is here. She's saying hello. And hi, Christy. So yeah, it's just you brought up a good point, and I think I want us all to take that away, Tammy. That we may not be aware of our platform and whatever that is, and that we all have something to give, and we all feel like, oh, why me? But the real question is, why not you? Because you make a difference. I make a difference. In this quarantine time, let's just all start looking out for each other. You know what I mean?
Oh, please, let's start looking out for each other.
We all breathe the same air. We can all die from the same ish. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's just, it's a lot. You have been such a delight and treat, Tammy. I'm so happy to connect with you in this way. And, my girl said, hit her up. And she's like, I'm on it. Let's do it. So I really want to thank you. Before I even met you, you had shouted me out on the radio for my role in the man that we know and love, Don B. Welch, who has brought us all together. So shout out to Don.
Shout out to Don.
Of course, love Don. I'm going to have him on an episode. You gave me some love when I was doing the bachelorette party, and I hadn't even met you, and people were actually calling me saying, Tammy Mac said this, Tammy Mac said that. So my point is, yes, thank you. And my second point,
I would have never thought that would have gotten back to you.
Yes, it did. It did. I was like, wow. I was like, oh, she said that. And I think I was having a bad day that day or something. So there you go. It actually, it helped me. I never forgot that. It's just, I think, long.
But what you did was something that people do not do. You sent me a card. A card. I still have it too. I should have pulled it out so I could have shown you. Oh my God.
It's a lost art.
People
nobody does that anymore.
Just email. Thank you.
Right. You get a text message with a TH and an X. You don't even get the
Exactly. Thanks.
Right. So well, listen, we got a new comment here. Thank you, Elaine, for giving us emojis, I guess luck and goodness, whatever.
And all of that. Thank you.
Right, exactly. So, and Linda,
this is an excellent platform you have here, though. This is wonderful.
Thank you so much. It goes back to what you were saying. What can I do? And just being me. Because I had some reservations like, oh, I'm an actress. I'm a producer. Can I talk about this? And I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to talk about it. So,
no, this is you.
Yeah, so it's me. It is.
But wait, it's interesting you say that, though, because Kevin Hart was just on a podcast talking about Dave Chappelle, and he was saying how he wish he could be. No, he was saying he was jealous and envious of Dave Chappelle because Chappelle is one of those comedians who's free that can say anything. And I thought to myself, Kevin, you're one of those comedians too. You just choose not to take that risk.
There it is. That goes back to, and I said, I gotta find it. But you said, Tammy, like, what are you taking a risk on, and what are you saying yes to? You know what I'm saying? Like that really is going to be the North Star to guide us. Like, what are you saying yes to?
Because everyone loves Kevin Hart, and there are a lot of fans he will lose. There are a lot of fans he won't lose. You know, I was talking to Stevie Wonder, dropping names.
Well, y'all may not know, but Stevie Wonder actually I forgot you deserve it, Tammy. You deserve it.
I was talking to Stevie Wonder the other day, and he was telling me about an artist. I won't say the name because I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say it or not. But he was telling me about an artist that told him that if he did those socially conscious songs, he would lose his audience.
Wow.
And Steve was like, well, so then I lose them.
Really?
And he continued to do his socially conscious. He said when he did the Martin Luther King march, people told him, you know, if you do this march thing for Martin Luther King, you're going to lose your fans. And he was like, so I lose them.
Right.
Like, well, he's still standing.
Right.
We like 40 years in. And 50 years in, a brother still.
That's important for all of us because, you know, your tribe is your vibe and your vibe is your tribe. And the people will find you that you're vibing with. And I don't need to be all things to all people. I want to be, you know what I mean? So I always tell people this, and I think about this, you know, go to the grocery store. Well, don't go right now. But when you're in the grocery store, look at the bread aisle. There's tons of bread, but you go and get the kind that you like. So my point is that there's space for all of us. And do you, I guess, is what I'm getting from this. And fortunately, Stevie has done him, and we love him for that. You are doing you, Tammy. We love you for that. And I'm doing me with this MediTEAtions, and I feel very, very satisfied, and I am so grateful to you.
This is an excellent show.
Thank you, Tammy. Ladies and gents, I'm gonna let our wonderful Tammy Mac, the girl who keeps it real with us, for us, by us. You're like our little darling, Tammy. Like you're the voice for us. So I was thinking about, I was like, I can't think of a person who doesn't know Tammy, first of all, and who doesn't love her. I mean, obviously we all got haters, let them hate, but people love you. Octavia says hello. Hi, Octavia. Thank you for being here. I want to shout out Mackenzie. Thank you, Mackenzie, for being here. Of course, CP, Christy, and Abdul. They have a show today at 4, so we'll check that out. Williams from Houston. So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys.
You can check me out tonight on Fox Soul. Just download the Fox Soul app or go to foxsoul.tv. And I have Shantae Moore on the show tonight performing.
Oh, awesome. You know, I danced with Shantae some years ago. Look at me trying to name drop it. People used to say we look alike. Anyway, you guys, I will put that also on my social media channels. Yes, be sure to check out Tammy Mac on her show tonight on Fox Soul Live. It is awesome. We wouldn't expect anything less. So have a great show, Tammy. I'll see you there tonight. And thank you again for being here.
Thank you, Caryn. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, y'all. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye. End broadcast.